We do begin with some breaking news from California, where there are reports of an active shooter. Police responded to the YouTube headquarters just over an hour ago. This is of San Bruno. Aerial pictures here. We're seeing people being led from the building by police officers. Then they are being patted down by police. There are reports that a woman shooter may have a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We are hearing that there may be multiple injuries, but no confirmed deaths at this time. Again, this is the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno. We will keep monitoring the situation for you and bring you more information as we learn it.
And we have some breaking news now out of Appling County. The escaped inmate we told you about yesterday is back behind bars. Appling County deputies say 24-year-old Dylan Miller was involved in a high-speed chase this morning in a stolen car, but was captured thanks to several local agencies. Miller is in jail for burglary and several traffic offenses, but he will now face additional charges.
We are learning more about allegations made against Savannah State University's chief of police, James Barnwell. Claims of a pattern of sexual assault, or sexual misconduct rather, and harassment that continues to put him on paid administrative leave while the investigation continues. An investigation that has now reached the federal level. Today, News 3's Meredith Stutz spoke to the lawyers representing all three women who have filed those claims. She is joining us live from campus with their allegations and the plan for action. Meredith.
Tina, those three women worked with Chief Barnwell here on campus for years as police officers, and for years they say they have been victims of a hostile and broken work environment. Two of those victims and women have filed internal complaints with the University System Board of Regents and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Another female officer is also working with her legal team to complete an EEOC complaint. Again, this is a complaint, not a lawsuit. All three women say the alleged inappropriate actions from Chief Barnwell took place over 2 years, with the most recent instance being just 2 weeks ago. Two of the women say the actions took place while they were on the job, and now they all say they want justice.
They want to feel safe going to work. They want to feel like they're not going to be harassed in a sexual nature while at work.
He's not going to be able to get away with it, and we hope that anybody else who's been a victim of this discrimination or anything similar to come forward, and we would help them as well.
Chief Barnwell and two of those women remain on paid administrative leave. I reached out to the university today for comment, but said they could not comment because this is an ongoing personnel issue. I also reached out to the University Board of Regents and the EEOC, and am waiting to hear back. Reporting live from the Savannah State University campus, Meredith Stutz, WSAV News 3.
Meredith, thank you. We have new information tonight. 14 years after the murder of a Fort Stewart soldier, there are now allegations that the man accused committed a second crime just days later with the same gun. Dion Monroe Jones, who is now 34, was arrested back in December after investigators took a new look at the cold case. Back in May of 2004, 27-year-old Scott Corwin, a soldier who was scheduled to fight in Iraq, was killed during an attempted robbery. Well, Jones allegedly committed a similar robbery just days later. He pled not guilty to a list of charges, including malice murder and trying to influence a witness, but a trial date is now set for April 16th.
Continuing coverage now, it's been a controversial topic in the past few years, but the attempt to disassociate the name of Eugene Talmadge from the bridge many of us see every day was struck down in the Georgia legislature. News3's Joanne Merrigan is here with an update on what one local representative says is not a lost cause. Joanne?
Well, that is right. State Representative Ron Stevens says he plans to try again next year. The Talmadge Bridge is known to everyone around here, spanning downtown Savannah to connect Georgia to South Carolina. But in recent years, the name has done less to connect people than to divide them. Well, one bridge and then a new one built in the 90s have both borne the name of Eugene Talmadge, a former governor from the 40s, who Stevens says now most acknowledge was a white supremacist. Well, this year, Stevens says through research, it was discovered the second bridge was actually never officially named for Talmadge at all. An effort to push through a new name, though, didn't get enough steam this session. Here's Stevens.
I believe there was a little of that. The old guard, if you will, that still believed that it was part of history, but the truth is it was never named. But I get it, and there's those who still believe that it ought to retain that name because the signs are still there on the road leading up to the bridge. But I hope not, and I hope those days are gone. Quite honestly, I do believe that the city of Savannah is on the right track. It's about an image.
Well, Stevens says he is pushing for the bridge to be renamed for Julia Gordon Low, founder of the Girl Scouts of America, and says he will begin anew next year. Meanwhile, he does say the DOT could change the signs now if it wanted to, but has indicated that probably won't happen. Joanne Merrigan, WSAV News 3.
Joanne, thank you. Need to know now, getting away from a hurricane is priority number one for those who live along the coast. But getting back in, as proved by Hurricanes Matthew and Irma, can be much more difficult. As News 3's Andrew Davis reports tonight, a new plan in Beaufort County is aimed at changing that.
Anyone who traveled down Interstate 95 or Highway 278 after Hurricane Matthew remembers it only too well. This road packed with cars, some moving, not much, if at all. Now, Beaufort County has a new plan in place to get everyone back quickly, starting with the people who are needed most. The county has implemented a 4-tier system, starting with the critical personnel who are involved in life-saving, damage assessment, and integral to government services restarting. Tier 2 is the utility and hospital critical personnel, people to remove debris from roads to make them passable, and relief workers like the Red Cross. Tier 3 allows higher-ups like in grocery stores, pharmacies, and gas stations back into the county. Then it's landscapers, business owners, and workers in important businesses can all re-enter. That plan is in place for any disaster, whether it's natural or man-made. You can start getting those important passes January 1st through April 30th of every year, and they're good for 2 full years. Andrew Davis, WSAV News 3.
In our consumer report now, you may have noticed higher prices at the pump in the Coastal Empire and Low Country. But as News 3's Stassi Olmos reports, it's not just here. She is on your side now with the reason behind a nationwide increase.
Mary Keller lives in Bluffton and drives to work at East Georgia Regional in Statesboro every day.
When I bought this car, I thought it was going to be great for me, but then my husband told me I had to use premium gas. That ruined it. So now when I got it, it was only $2.40 a gallon. Now it's, look at that, $2.97. It was $3.05. You know, I'm going to be staying at work more often because of this, and I don't know why it's happening.
It's not just in Bluffton. From Savannah to Statesboro, it's the same story. Prices across the U.S. are the highest since Hurricane Harvey.
It is coming from the distributor. The distributor of the gas has went up on price. And of course, with the rising gas prices, we have to charge at least what we are paying for.
Nicole Besser says she and her competitors on Highway 278 went up 17 cents in one day last week. According to Gas Buddy, the national surge is due to falling crude oil inventories versus rising prices for crude oil, as well as the change in seasons.
The weather's getting warmer, people are traveling. They can charge us what they want, but we can't cut into the bottom line just to give gas at a cheaper price. So we have to at least cut even, and we are making very little money on gas right now.
Which means customers like Keller have to get creative.
I make sure that when I'm almost out of gas, it's going to be in Bluffton because it's cheaper here. It's $3.03, but with the Enmark card, I get it for $2.97 a gallon. When it comes to saving money, you got to do whatever you can to do.
Stassi Olmos, WSAV News 3.
Gas Buddy reports that gas prices will continue to rise in the coming weeks and lower slightly as oil becomes cheaper.
And a News 3 follow-up now calls for a policy change from across our community. We've been telling you about the outrage after a long-standing osprey nest on Whitmarsh Island was destroyed last week. Well, tonight, News 3's Martin Staunton tells us many are working to make it so those responsible see legal consequences. Martin?
Good evening, Tina. Fallout does continue tonight after crews performing streetlight maintenance at the Islands Expressway flyover on Highway 80 took down that osprey nest and removed the eggs last Thursday. Public outrage is growing, fueled by a belief that laws to protect migratory birds were broken.
The osprey here is perched on a streetlight that was the foundation of a long-standing nest. Islands residents say they've watched the birds for years, but nest removal and egg relocation is heartbreaking.
A little more than I thought it would be, but it really kind of took my breath away to see probably the mama bird sitting up there. I mean, what's she thinking? Where are my birds?
Streetlight maintenance like this, contracted by Chatham County, is what led to the nest's destruction and the eggs being shipped to South Carolina.
The animal advocacy group Speaking Loudly and Often for Animals sent an email to county and city leaders about the disturbance of the osprey nest on top of the light pole here, and they say Georgia law was violated in that work. We spoke with the DNR, and they say that's true.
As we stand right now. There is a violation of state law, but with the recent decision of the Department of Interior, is that a violation now of state law since this interpretation come out.
Advocates and citizens say this incident should be a watershed event for clear local policy when work impacts wildlife.
I just got off the phone just a few minutes ago with the chairman, County Chairman Al Scott.
What did he say?
Oh, he agrees with me. He's disappointed with the happening, and he knows that now that my group will be working with them to help develop and put a good policy in effect.
And right now there's no word as to when the formal dialogue for that policy change is going to begin with the county. But if the DNR determines to cite that contracting crew, it's just a misdemeanor. The maximum fine's only $150.
Well, Martin, can you tell us where in South Carolina are the eggs?
The eggs are at the Birds of Prey Avian Center. It's just outside of Charleston. I've been trying to check with them, but they're only open Thursday through the weekend, so I haven't been able to check if those eggs are still viable, but as soon as we have word, we'll bring you an update.
Martin, thank you. Sounds good. Looking ahead now, a way to honor the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Tomorrow marks exactly 50 years since Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis. There will be a commemorative service in Savannah tomorrow evening at 6 at the First African Missionary Baptist Church in Franklin Square. There are many more events being held in honor of Dr. King tomorrow. To see what's going on around town, you can visit WSAV.com/MLK50.
Next on First News at 5, excitement is building in Augusta at this year's Masters tournament.
After the break tonight, we get a live update from Augusta and find out why it's not only golf fans who are enjoying this week's festivities.
And really warm today, no surprise, we have hit near record highs, but tomorrow, storm system is set to hit. And that's what we're tracking after the break.
At 5:30, it was a horrifying incident that claimed 6 lives. Now, one man says he's filing suit to find answers. You are watching WSAV First News at 5. We'll be right back. Well, the best golfers in the world are just up the road tonight in Augusta for the Masters.
But for some people, the golf takes a backseat to the stunning scenery around the course. Brad Means is covering the Masters for us this week. He is joining us live from Augusta National with more on this. Brad?
Well, good evening, everybody. Things are sure to get serious on Thursday when the actual competition begins. But today was all about grabbing a camera and trying to capture the flowers, the plants, the grass, and all the beauty that Augusta National has to offer.
Look at all these lucky people, those fortunate enough to get the toughest ticket in sports at a place that seems too good to be true.
This course is immaculate. I didn't realize it was real grass at first. I thought it was artificial turf. It was so perfect.
A perfect day to join the masses trying to get a glimpse of Tiger and Phil. What a pairing on this Masters Tuesday. Oh, and there's 1992 champion Fred Couples in the group as well.
But when they're not watching the pros, a lot of people are watching the plants. Folks from all over the place coming here to bear witness to these blooms.
It's maybe tough for the golfers, but it's beautiful for anybody that's a gardener. And coming from Canada, this is great to get a jump on spring.
It's beautiful just to see them in full bloom when you come to the Masters. That's just tradition.
Even former champions trying to get in a practice round can't help but be distracted by the beauty. My goodness, this color at Amen Corner. Azaleas as far as the eye can see.
You really notice them, especially you get back around 12 and 13. They're just right in your face. It's beautiful.
The golf may take center stage later in the week, but today it was okay to take a break from the course, leave the beaten path, and see something special growing and blooming and making the landscape at Augusta amazing. Not a bad way to check this trip off your bucket list.
They do everything the best they can do it. I mean, there's no withholding of funds for this, that. There's no skimping. I mean, they do everything, you know, as immaculately as you can do it.
I've been watching on television my whole life, and to see it up close like this is spectacular.
Well, a sentiment shared by a lot of patrons today for sure. And what a difference a year makes. Last winter, it was warmer than usual. Everything had basically bloomed by Masters. This year, a horticulturalist tells me that all the plants, most of them, got the perfect amount of chill time so they can hit their peak when the tournament starts. Live at Augusta National Golf Club, I'm Brad Means, WSAV News 3.
Now,
Storm Team 3 weather, powered by Sparrow's live Titan radar.
Well, while we have perfect weather in Georgia, take a look here at the heavy rain that flooded interstates in Indiana. Not exactly the way you want to start off your day, but the rain was coming down hard. They had thunderstorms and parts of I-65 had to be shut down. And there's a second round of storms hitting the state at this moment. The same storm system that is going to bring us a round of active weather tomorrow. But right now, look at all that sunshine with our live cam, Dozier Law Cam downtown Savannah. Right along River Street, that sunshine and warm south winds giving us near record highs today. At the moment, it is 82 degrees with southeast winds at 20 miles per hour. But already that sea breeze is starting to kick in, and it's actually a little bit cooler right along the coast.
We want to bring you up to date on some breaking news out of California now, where there are reports of an active shooter situation. Police say the shooter is a woman, and they say she shot her boyfriend. There are no confirmed deaths right now, no further information on injuries. Police responded to this building, which is the YouTube headquarters, just over an hour ago. This is in San Bruno, California, the Bay Area. We've seen people being led from the building by police officers, then they are being patted down by police. We will continue to monitor the situation and bring you more as we learn it. We have more news ahead for you.
Including the town of Glenville making some changes for an upcoming movie shooting starring Will Smith. WSAV News 3 at 5:30 is next.
We're going to start with some breaking news now. Savannah police investigating a deadly shooting on Wheaton Street in downtown Savannah. News 3's Meredith Stutz joins us now live from the scene with the very latest. Meredith.
Andrew, I want to give you a live look at what we're looking at right now. Again, this is Wheaton Street, right by the overpass of the Truman Parkway. You see Savannah Metro Police cars on both sides. They are blocking traffic. Here's what we know so far. The call came in about 10 o'clock tonight for a shooting. 2 people were shot. One of those people have died. Behind me, you see still crime scene tape up. It still is an active crime scene. So we do want people to know, those who are headed out for this holiday weekend on a Friday night, there's a traffic blockage. So you see Metro Police have blocked. This is Wheaton Street, right by the Truman Parkway. Certainly people are turning around, not knowing what to do. So again, if you are trying to go through Wheaton Street to coming to and out of Savannah, going east or westbound, you're going to need to find an alternate way to get home or to get wherever you needed. But again, the call came in tonight to Savannah Police at 10 o'clock for a shooting here on Wheaton Street, here at the Truman Parkway. 1 person has died and another person has been shot. We don't know any other details about that, but we will keep you updated on air and online as those details become available. Reporting live in Savannah, Meredith Stutz, WSAV News 3.
All right, thanks, Meredith. Our other top story, the search intensifying for the suspect in last night's dangerous hit and run on Tybee Island. Authorities say 34-year-old John Richard faces charges including felony hit and run. They say he has a lengthy criminal history and no valid driver's license. As News 3's Trish Williford reports, only WSAV was on the scene as officers searched that Savannah apartment.
John Richard, where's he at? Step out. Step out. Out! Get out!
This was the scene late Thursday night as officers swarmed Savannah's Windsor Arms apartments, searching for this man, 34-year-old John Richard, and his friend Tony, who officers say caused this mess during rush hour traffic on Highway 80 on Tybee Island.
Take patrol!
Troopers searched Richard's apartment and questioned his girlfriend, but Richard and his buddy Tony were nowhere to be found. According to Georgia State Patrol, the two went to test drive a black Crown Victoria owned by a man who lives near the Crab Shack restaurant. They say Tony jumped into the Crown Vic and Richard was driving a white Chevy Silverado truck. Troopers say Richard pulled onto Highway 80, striking the driver of a Nissan truck. Well, that truck crossed the median, flipped, and slammed right into a white Buick SUV. Troopers say Richard jumped out of his truck, and his friend Tony, who was waiting nearby, picked him up, and they sped away from the scene in the Crown Vic. 3 people were injured in this crash, one seriously, and hundreds of people sat in their vehicles for hours while police worked to collect evidence and clear this scene.
I've been sitting in the car just this side of the bridge for 3 hours. Been here 3 years. It's the first time I've gotten caught like this.
But others got tired of waiting, gave up, deserted their vehicles, and walked all the way home. Trish Williford, WSAV News 3.
We're told the mother and daughter hurt in this crash have been released from the hospital. At the same time, the driver of the Nissan suffered serious injuries. Memorial tells us he just got out of another surgery, is stable with multiple broken bones all over his body, as well as a head injury. Hospital officials say they expect him to have several more surgeries. That accident left traffic backed up for hours in both directions, and it's not the first time. Drivers have been asking for Highway 80 to be widened for years, but it's not going to happen because of environmental concerns around Fort Pulaski. We do know that some safety adjustments will be made according to the Georgia Department of Transportation. Those include restriping the bridge and the road and adding a median buffer on that bridge. There are also plans to resurface the road by this summer. In a News 3 follow-up now, a bus driver and 2 students injured in a crash have been released from a Bullitt County hospital. 5 other students were treated at that scene. That accident happened yesterday afternoon on Highway 25 near Portal. That's when a semi-truck hit the back of that bus. Well, school safety is moving into the 21st century. Students can now report a threat or unsafe behavior right in the palm of their hands. It's part of the Crime Stoppers app called P3 Tips. The Beaver County Sheriff's Office added school safety, hoping kids will feel more comfortable to text in those tips. News 3's Stasi Olmos is on your side with how it works.
A lot of people don't report a lot of crime or suspicious activity because they don't want anyone to know.
After the school shooting in Parkland, Beaufort County Sheriff P.J. Tanner wants to get insight inside schools and make sure students feel safe.
If there are certain issues that make them leery of a particular person and they don't really know who to tell, or they don't have the relationships with maybe the school administration or the SRO, or just really don't want anyone to know that they said anything, this gives them the opportunity to do it and stay anonymous.
Once tips are submitted, they're sent to a fusion center in Columbia and then pushed to local law enforcement.
We're required to report back through Crime Stoppers what information we found and what we did.
The app is statewide and, if successful, could pull in thousands of tips with the chance that some aren't true.
We'll have to just take that chance on getting a lot of information that really is, that someone may be just taking an opportunity. We'll weed through it. Staff can do that quite quickly.
Tanner says it'll be worth the time spent to catch anything that may be serious.
When someone makes the threat, you really have to analyze the intent, and you have to look at who made the threat and what the threat was made for, the content of the threat, and who it was against.
And they're ready to take preventative action if needed.
It just really depends on the impact of what was said. But if your intent was to disrupt and disturb the school, then you'll be charged.
Stasi Olmos, WSAV News 3.
That app is officially up and running, and Sheriff Tanner hopes to have all schools introduce it to their students next week. Taking a live look outside now from our Dozier Law Cam. The holiday weekend is finally here. Storm Team 3 meteorologist Lee Haywood is in with what you can expect for that holiday weekend and your forecast first.
Well, a cold front brought us showers today. About 3/10 of an inch of rain fell here in Savannah. What's left? Skies are mostly cloudy. We're going to see some gradual clearing through the nighttime hours, and with high pressure building in this weekend, you're going to have a great Easter holiday weekend. The weather conditions shouldn't be any problems of concern. Right now, 60 degrees in Savannah. We're generally upper 50s to low 60s out there, so it's comfortable this evening. 61 degrees in Jessup and Glenville with 63 degrees in Vidalia. So this is the forecast for the nighttime hours. We're dry, rain-free weather, gradually clearing skies, winds shifting around to the northwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Notice it's going to be a cooler night tonight, from the upper 40s to about 50. We're 48 Statesboro, 49 degrees for the overnight low. Savannah, about 50 degrees in Beaufort, 47 Sylvania, and 48 in Rincon. Now take a look at this. It is going to be beautiful tomorrow, sunshine at 72, cool for Easter morning. But then look at this, 82 and mostly sunny for Easter afternoon. More on the 7-day forecast, Andrew. Big warm up next week. We'll show you in just a bit.
All right, thanks so much, Lee. It is a big holiday weekend. In fact, it's the start of the biggest religious weekend of the year as millions of Christians and Jews celebrate the beginning of Easter and the Passover holidays. News 3's Meredith Stutz shares with us how now the faithful in our community are remembering this day.
For the faithful, there is a belief in something bigger than yourself. And for millions of Christians, that creed culminates at Easter.
Good, and it's a really cool concept to be one of such a huge part of, Christians throughout the world.
And in Savannah, hundreds gathered inside the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist to remember Good Friday, the day Jesus was crucified.
This has become somewhat of a tradition in our family.
Along the walls are the Stations of the Cross, visual representations leading up to Jesus being hung on a cross.
Understand, what Jesus went through for us.
It's kind of the crux of the whole religion.
This was Daniel Hale's first time experiencing the stations, and one in particular stood out.
Sixth station with Veronica wiping the face of Jesus.
A few hours later, down the street, more than 100 poured into the congregation Mikveh Israel and donned their yarmulkes for the first night of Passover.
It is the most celebrated of all Jewish occasions because it celebrates freedom. The freedom of the Israelites who left the desert several thousand years ago.
Rabbi Robert Haas led the room in readings, songs, and the traditional Seder meal. Each food representing a symbol to tell the story of the Exodus, including
matzah, that is the bread of affliction. When the Israelites left Egypt, they didn't have time to let the bread rise.
But it was clear it was the people.
So wonderful. I've missed everyone here so much.
Not the food that keeps the faithful coming back year after year.
Whether we're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, or of any other religion, this is our world, and most of us get along really well together.
That was News 3's Meredith Stutz reporting. The Easter celebration culminates with Resurrection Sunday, including the annual 6:30 sunrise service on Tybee Island. Passover will be held until the evening of April 7th, with a second Seder set to happen tomorrow night. Some young patients at Memorial Health's Willets Children's Hospital are ready for the Easter holiday, and it's all thanks to one couple's generosity. Marcia and Stephen Bailey, along with the Easter Bunny, delivered Easter baskets to the kids today. The kids enjoyed those treats and the toys. The gift made possible by the help of $600 in donations from the family's Facebook friends. Bailey says she hopes others follow her lead.
I do it because I want to touch other people and I want to touch their hearts, and hopefully they will see that it's so easy and that they can do it too.
This is the second year the couple has made the Easter basket delivery. They hope to make it an annual tradition. Looking ahead now, one community in the Lowcountry coming together to help a family in need. We first told you about a house fire in Yemassee a couple weeks ago and the lack of volunteers in the fire department. Now the community wants to help the man who lost his home and all of his possessions in that horrible fire. The man also did woodwork for a living in his yard. Now this weekend, the community is coming together to raise money to help him rebuild. They're holding a fish fry fundraiser for him at the Yemassee Fire Department tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Plates are $5. You'll also be able to sign up to volunteer with the fire department. Also continuing this weekend, the 29th Annual Savannah Music Festival. Some of the headliners will include the Zurich Chamber Orchestra, Marty Stewart, and Jason Isbell. It'll run throughout each weekend until April 14th. We've got everything you need to know on WSAV.com. Just search Savannah Music Festival. Next on News 3 at 11, it's quick and it's easy, but is it safe? We're on your side with the risk of those payment apps, plus what you need to know to protect your most precious information.
Weather conditions are looking A-OK for your Saturday. We're going to wake up with sunshine, cool conditions. We're about 50 degrees at 7 o'clock, and we'll be close to 70 as we head into 1 o'clock, and no threat for any rain Saturday or Sunday. More on that full forecast coming up. You're watching WSAV News 3 on your side at 11.
Next on News 3 at 11, major concerns on our roadways. We have the very latest from officials and what you need to know to stay safe.
Plus, many of you enjoyed this snow day. We talked to those who saw the white stuff for the very first time.
And the latest in the Storm Team 3 forecast, our wind chills are already down in the teens and it's only going to get colder. We're tracking that and much more in just a moment.
WSAV News 3 at 11 starts now.
Now, the smart choice for news, weather, and sports for Georgia's Coastal Empire and the South Carolina Lowcountry. This is WSAV News 3 on your side at 11.
Good evening, I'm Tina Shaw.
And I'm Ben Singer. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We begin tonight with a live look outside now from our Dozier Law Cam. What a day this has been and what a sight this is. Snow on River Street in Savannah.
It is beautiful. Storm Team 3 Chief Meteorologist Chris Allred in now with the first look at your forecast. Chris?
All right, Tina and Ben. Well, our winter storm is long gone. It is now spinning up the coast where it is now hitting parts of North Carolina, and the storm is actually getting even stronger tonight. But even though the snow has stopped falling in the coastal empire and Lowcountry, we are not done with the threats of this winter weather. We have an advisory that's in effect right now, pretty much for the entire coastal empire and Lowcountry, and this goes until tomorrow morning at 11. And the reason why this is happening, expecting ice to form on roads tonight, black ice, something that you can't detect, so stay off the roads Stay at home where it's safe. Also, cold wind chills could get as low as 8 to 12 degrees by tomorrow morning. Dangerously cold. So that's what we're tracking. Already taking a look at our temperatures now throughout the area. It is 22 degrees in Savannah, 28 on Hilton Head Island, and it's already down to 19 degrees in Rincon. Now factor in how cold it feels. Have a wind chill of 14 degrees in Savannah, feels like 17 in Beaufort, and we also have a wind chill of 17 in Statesboro. So in the Fastcast tomorrow morning, when you get up and you head out the door, that's when our wind chills could be as low as the single digits. But here's some good news. We have some sunshine all day in the forecast tomorrow. It starts off really cold, but it should hit 26 at 8, 29 at 9, 31 at 10, and then finally above freezing by 11 a.m. But coming up in the complete Storm Team 3 forecast, we still have a lot to cover. We will track how much snow, how much freezing rain we picked up from the storm system today, and I'll also let you know just how long it's going to stay this incredibly cold. All right, Ben and Tina, back to you.
Chris, thank you. Well, to keep you up to the latest information on our forecast, WSAV is on your side with our mobile app. You can download it for free through the iTunes App Store and Google Play on your Android phone.
The big concern tonight is travel. All day, thousands of you, I should say, have been braving the snow and the ice, taking to the roadways. Travel continues to be frustrating for drivers both in the coastal empire and low country. News 3's Meredith Stutz joining us live now from the Thunderbolt Bridge now. So Meredith, what are the travel conditions out there?
Well, Ben, as Chris was just talking about, it is certainly, you can feel the temperature dropping. I'm here at Thunderbolt, just the base of the bridge. The bridge was closed earlier today for several hours, but as you can see, it has reopened. You might see a car coming down or up the bridge. There's one coming up the bridge just now. Now, earlier today, I spent much of the day on 95, maybe as many of you did, but as you might have heard or known, it was going pretty slowly, to put it lightly. A sight not often seen.
This is crazy. We were just driving through and there's snow.
Yes, palm trees covered in snow. On Wednesday, drivers traveling through I-95 in Hardeeville found themselves caught and stuck in a winter wonderland.
It feels like we're at home. We're from West Virginia, so this is like totally normal for us, and it's crazy that this little amount of snow is keeping everything closed.
These ladies had their sights set on the sunny beaches of Florida.
I'm a little frustrated because we've been in the same area for 2 hours.
Northbound and southbound, slow going all day.
It's bumper to bumper, snow, ice, the roads are terrible.
Been in traffic for like 7 hours, 8 hours. A whole car with the trailer flipped over. Yeah, it was bad.
On the Georgia side of 95, Zayla Chisholm came home to her first snow.
I feel like a big kid. I keep saying Winter Wonderland in the car. I keep saying Winter Wonderland. He's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, myself. It's a Winter Wonderland.
Though not exactly a dream come true.
I wish I was spending it outside instead of in the car.
This father focused on getting his family to safety.
The more the temperature drops, the worse it's going to get.
And with the weather and traffic so frightful back in Hardeeville, these ladies decided just to embrace it.
We're just going to play in the snow because why not make the best of it?
Now, several of you have called into our WSAV newsroom tonight asking about traffic on 95. Earlier this evening, I spoke with the South Carolina Highway Patrol that says that buildup of traffic both on north and southbounds is due mainly to tractor trailers having a strong difficulty getting up and down those bridges, crossing those state lines. So if that's you or you know someone who's trying to get home on 95, they ask you to pack your patience, especially into the overnight hours and into the early morning. Of course, we're going to keep you updated, but yes, law enforcement asking you from both states to stay off the roads if you can, and if you have to get on the roads, like you might see behind me, to please take it slow, which these people really aren't, but they're certainly sliding a little bit as they're getting back onto the mainland. So certainly something that you don't want to take lightly as we head into these overnight hours. Reporting live in Thunderbolt, Meredith Stutz, WSAV News 3.
Meredith, thank you. Well, we spoke with officials in the Low Country earlier this evening about concerns on the roadways there as we head into the overnight hours.
So Bob Bromridge from the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office told us tonight his best advice, don't drive at all.
It is, and we're strongly urging the public to stay off the roadways tonight. It's expecting freezing temperatures as we did all day overnight. The road conditions are already hazardous. There's ice on the roads, snow, and we expect that to get worse overnight.
How did things go for your county at the height of this storm? You know, several inches of snow in Beaufort County, I think 4 at last report in the Bluffton area. So Were there any problems that you really had to troubleshoot on the fly?
Our major problems were, of course, traffic accidents. As of 1 o'clock today, we had 42. And, of course, after 1 o'clock up until this evening, it would be considerably more. So traffic accidents were a major problem that we addressed. Several law enforcement agencies, of course, in the county would be working those accidents. But also, monitoring the bridges, because the bridges freeze before the roadways. And we had a couple closures early on. South Carolina Department of Transportation treated those roadways and continue to do that.
If you take the bus, you need to know Chatham area transit buses will not be running tomorrow because of the winter weather. There is no word on when service will resume. The Savannah Hilton Head International Airport is closed tonight. They will reassess tomorrow morning. If you need to check on the status of a flight tomorrow, you are asked to contact your airline.
Many school districts and businesses have been calling us today to share some closures with us for tomorrow, so keep an eye on the bottom of your screen throughout the newscast for that information. Of course, we also have that complete list at WSAB.com. That includes colleges, local businesses, and churches as well. Just search closings. Snow in the coastal empire. Most people still can't really wrap their minds around it.
Yeah, especially those who experienced it for the very first time. News 3's Darius Johnson has that for us tonight.
Snow in the coastal empire and low country Wednesday. For some, a four-letter word. Others, a familiar sight. Most who live here couldn't believe it, while others remember the last time we experienced a real snow back in the late 80s.
It was really heavy in '89, and I think we were a bit surprised because we weren't looking for snow. For here, it was a surprise, but a beautiful surprise.
That's Linda Bird, who lives in Metter. Although she was just in Atlanta last month when it snowed, she says it feels a lot different happening in the place she's lived all her life.
In '89, I believe it was like for a few days. So it's a little different in that this is a shorter duration, but it's very, very beautiful. I mean, it's blanketed the two towns, Metter and Statesboro. Everybody's been very excited, and so we're enjoying it.
While Bird was ready, Brian Smalley was surprised as he drove back to Midway from Atlanta in the snow.
And I was hoping I could avoid all of this, but in order for me to get home, I guess I have to go through it.
Which is the same thing Shauna and her daughter Madison did. And while this is Madison's first time seeing snow, her mom was a teenager back in 1989 when snow last fell in Savannah. This time, though, she did it a little differently, all-terrain style.
I think it's safer. The roads are really slippery and slick, so this is much easier.
And her daughter had some fun, too.
We were actually pulling a lid container behind the four-wheeler and like tubing on the ice.
Now that the storm has passed, many wonder if they'll ever see the mix of snow and palm trees again.
The snow was falling in many parts of South Carolina today as well. We want to show you some video now from Charleston as freezing rain turned to snow, totaling between 2 and 5 inches in some spots. Thousands have lost power, and much like here, schools and businesses were closed. Snow and ice created traffic problems there as well, and numerous roads and bridges were closed. No flights are departing or arriving at the Charleston International Airport.
And since one South Carolina senator couldn't fly back to Washington, he decided to take advantage of the snow day in the Palmetto State. This is Senator Tim Scott. Did you see that? He took to the streets, was trying to sled. It certainly looked like he knew what he was doing, but then you see he sort of let go of whatever he was holding on to there and kind of wiped out. Here it is in slow motion. So either way, looks like he really enjoyed his stay back in the Palmetto State today. That's fun to watch.
Yes, it absolutely is. Hopefully he will not be sore.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to need some Advil tonight.
Next on News 3 at 11, as we approach the overnight hours, officials grow more and more concerned about black ice.
So we have what you need to know about that straight ahead.
And coming up in the complete Storm Team 3 forecast, the wind chill in Savannah right now is already dropped to 14 degrees, and it's only going to get colder. We're tracking the cold air, the 7-day forecast. How long is it going to stay this cold? I'll let you know after the break. You're watching WSAB News 3 on your side.